Get on with it.
Man, we almost blew our weather load without recording.
Oh man.
I can't do that twice. Yeah, it is. Yeah. No, I mean I'm looking, it's like 51 degrees out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's you hear all this stuff about the storm coming and people who are out west in places like Arkansas or where family is or Tennessee and they're bracing for the end of the sun basically. And I look at our
Oh
weather
yeah.
report and yeah, it's going to get down in the like mid 40s for the
Yeah.
next day or two and then all sunny.
Yeah.
And we don't live in Florida. This is not Florida.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean I think we've got some days coming up where it's going to be like 30s as a high, but I know. Dude, I remember, I lived in Ohio. I mean, even Virginia, where I lived in the Shenandoah Valley, so like in the mountains of Virginia. I mean, we had, bad winters there because we were in the mountains. And um this is yeah, this is nothing. I remember a day in Ohio where we had negative 40. It was negative 40. Like they're like, they canceled school that day and they were just like, do not go outside. Like I think we had to like we did have to go somewhere, and I remember like bundling up as much as you
No
possibly
way.
could. You didn't want anything exposed,
No way.
and
What
like
would make you
running
go
to
out
the
in
car.
negative 40, man?
I don't remember, man. I don't remember. I was like 17 or 18, so I don't remember why we had to. I don't know. We went out for something. I don't know, but it was fucking nuts.
Yeah, yeah. But for us right now, it's hell, I'd almost call it mild. Yeah, it was chilly
Yeah,
in the night, whatever, but
yeah.
pretty mild. It's beautifully sunny. We're just the wind is blowing.
Well, at
And
least those storms we got Monday. Was it Monday?
I don't know what it was. We
Yeah,
had
I don't know. Earlier this week when we
we had
got those bad
hurricane force
storms.
thunderstorms.
Yeah, but at least it was like 65.
No, yeah.
Um, oh, it was Tuesday. It was Tuesday.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I mean it was like 65 degrees. I mean, it would have been, at least it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
No, yeah. Yeah, but her hurricane level like power in a thunderstorm such that it cancels school and shuts down the ports
Yep.
in Charleston and Savannah.
Yeah.
But it's a thunderstorm system and it's early January and that's totally fine.
Oh no, yeah, no, it's totally normal.
That makes sense.
I remember being a kid and hearing thunderstorms all the time in winter. It was, this is
Oh
just
yeah,
same
yeah.
old, same old.
Well, I mean, all the Christmas songs talk about the Christmas tornado that comes
Right.
through,
Oh yeah. Yeah,
with
yeah,
all the
yeah.
rain and hail.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfectly normal.
There you go, Nathan. There's the fucking weather for you.
uh Welcome to Comics in the Making. My name is Ryan Holgerson. I'm the creator of Slackmatic, and I'm joined, as always, by Levi Erickson, meteorologist extraordinaire and the creator of the Big. Levi, how you doing?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good. Stoked on this episode. Why don't you tell them why we're so stoked?
I thought we were just talking about weather the whole time. I don't know. Uh, so I want to get you want to get some quick news out of the way.
Let's go ahead and do the news
Let's
and
let's talk about some art news that came through this week. Hopefully we're releasing this episode shortly after it, or it's gonna be like people will be like, yeah, no shit. But anyway,
let me stop you right there. That's why it's good that you do most of your episodes about 30-year-old comics, so you never have to worry about what
oh, I
order to
know,
release
right.
them.
Yeah. But I man, I
But
can't
we
help.
also don't really do current events either, so
Right, right,
we
right,
exist
right.
in
I just
another world.
I can't help it but talk about this one. So we've talked about AI on quite a few episodes. I think our viewpoint is pretty clear. We don't like it. we're artists, blah blah blah. Um, this past week, Wacom was caught using an AI image in a piece of promotional in a promotional piece. And I think I've mentioned before, my wife, she's not an artist, she kind of doesn't care. And I mentioned it to her. She's like, well, yeah, it was probably cheaper. And I was like, well, no shit, it was cheaper. Here, but so this to me, this is just like absolutely flabbergasting. So when we talk about the AI and these companies using it, to me it's inevitable. I talked about that. I think it's inevitable that these companies are going to use it because it is cheaper. Um, they really don't give a shit. I think the public at large, they don't give a shit. It's just going to happen. The best thing we can do is nose to the grindstone, keep going, keep doing our artwork. I don't, for me personally, maybe I'm wrong, but to me, it doesn't play a big part in what I do. I'm still gonna do my art, and I'm just gonna keep doing what I do.
Yeah, yeah,
But the the thing is, Wacom, its audience is all artists. There's
yeah. See,
nobody is buying a Wacom product. Nobody is buying a Wacom product. At least I think they maybe do some like credit card reader things and stuff like that. But the vast majority are artists,
yeah.
and you're gonna use AI to piss off your entire customer base.
In an attempt to sell your expensive product
Your very expensive
to
product.
these people,
Yeah,
what a way to convince people that you need our product because we're going to show
yeah.
you that we don't need our product to sell you our product. You know,
Yeah. I
that's
mean, it's I mean, that's the thing. The Wacom doesn't, there's no AI in my Cintiq that's right next to me. There's nothing,
yeah.
so yeah, it's literally like, hey, guess what? You don't need this $2,000 device. You just go to AI. It's so, and since the backlash, they've taken this image down. I actually haven't seen the image. It was like a dragon or something like that. I heard it was horrible. Um, but they've taken it down. They've released an apology letter. They said it was a third party uh that was handling their advertising, blah blah blah, a bunch of just bullshit. Uh
It probably the sad part was it probably was third party.
oh,
It
I'm sure
probably
it's true.
was
Oh no, I'm
some
I'm
sort of
sure.
contest or some sort of like outreach. Hey, you want to have your stuff in a Wacom
Well,
thing?
I think it's on it. No, I think what it is I think they had a third party advertising agency
Okay,
who
yeah.
went and picked one of these images, and it happened to be AI or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, when you're and I get we get it, I get it. It's cheaper. You're a company, but your your company is selling to artists, and you're not willing
Yes.
to pay an artist to use your equipment to draw something. I just
At the bare minimum, whatever you see in Wacom, like Wacom products should be used in the production of their marketing at bare fucking minimum, right?
yeah,
Right?
yeah, no. But I had to mention it. I'm absolutely flabbergasted. I don't know what this does to them as a brand. Um, I mean, we've talked about it a little bit. There's a lot of Wacom uh, uh, competitors now. They used to be
Yes.
a total monopoly when it came to
Yep.
the drawing tablet game, and that's just not the case anymore. In fact, I was just watching something. They just had the CES uh, expo or whatever, which is an electronics expo. And so, a bunch of these art tablet companies like Huion and XP Pen
Yep.
and Wacom, they go out there and they present there. And I think it's Huion. Huion is actually releasing a 27-inch 4K display, which that's kind of where Wacom's always had the advantage, is these lower end ones really haven't gotten into the 4K range. They might do like 2.5K or something like that, but Wacom's really had the 4K range. Well,
Yeah.
they're getting into a 4K range. Um, and the thing is though, this Huion device is going to be like 2 grand. So you're still talking like a higher end level. You know, some of
Right.
their other ones, I mean, shit, you can get a 16-inch drawing display, I think, for a couple $100. Um, so they've always kind of been more budget, but now they're like, all right, well, let's try doing this high end. And so they're getting into high end. There's a new company, Lab, which is actually uh
Hmm.
former Wacom employees, from what I understand, that have kind of gone and done their own thing. They're coming out. So I'm curious to see where
Are they making all their marketing in Procreate?
I know, right? Well, you know what? And
I'm
see,
just kidding. I
I
know.
was
I'm just
thinking,
kidding.
no, but I was thinking about that, like, so many people now do draw and do art on their iPad with
Right.
Procreate and stuff like that. And I was thinking, okay, well, if Apple came out and they did an AI advertisement or whatever, which it's gonna have, guys, it's gonna
Oh yeah.
happen. When that happens, they're still gonna sell fucking iPads, because the iPad art market is a small, minuscule amount compared to the just what, my wife has an iPad, my daughter has an iPad, people that have iPads that don't draw on it.
No,
Um,
yeah, and it's funny you mention that because I'm shopping. I think I've got my Wacom one. You
yeah,
know, of course it's got to be tethered to my computer.
yeah,
I've got an Intuos from like 2014, a
yeah,
nice big one, works great. Not a display tablet, but
right,
I want something that I can actually like. Being in the studio is great, and having the space and being able to focus is ideal, but sometimes I want to be able to work
yeah,
and be around people. And like we've talked about before, those stages of the process of creation, if I'm doing digital, corrections, or even some inking, or some color tone, I can do that while we sit as a family and watch a movie, or whatever, you know.
yeah.
So I'm looking for something to suit that need, and I think an iPad is perfect.
Oh yeah,
I can put Adobe on it and work in those programs. I'm sure I could probably put Clip Studio on it, Procreate,
yep,
all those things. So and seventh gen iPad Airs are super duper affordable.
yeah.
I think that's really all I'm looking for,
I
in
mean,
that sense.
you really can't go wrong with an iPad um drawing on it. I mean, it's funny
Mhm.
because I have one, um and I do work on it. I kind of I for the most part, when I work on my iPad, it is more in the penciling and lettering stage and stuff like that. What I do like about it is Clip Studio has a cloud storage.
Yeah,
So I can work on my iPad, and then I can put that from my iPad into the cloud. And
right.
even though I don't work on a Mac, I work on a PC or a Windows laptop. Uh, I can still go into the cloud through Clip Studio and bring that exact same file onto my laptop. And I can do that back and forth. Sometimes I'll do some on the iPad and then throw it onto the cloud. I work
Hmm.
on my laptop, then I throw it back on to my iPad. Um, I still prefer, I will do it. I think I might be doing it a little more here in the next few weeks. But I still prefer inking on the Cintiq. I just love the feeling of inking on the Cintiq. I mean,
Nice.
and it's funny. I mean, it's like we talk about traditional work versus digital and stuff like that. I mean, it's the same thing. It's like, well, boy, I really prefer inking with a real brush opposed to like a brush pen and stuff like that. I might be
Mhm.
able to get the same kind of look. It's just the way that it feels. And it's the same way for me when it comes to digital art and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
the
yeah,
but I mean and I have an iPad Pro. I have one of the newer ones. I could easily do every single bit of my comic creation on that iPad. Um,
right.
and not use the Cintiq at all. I mean, if I had to, I could go straight iPad at any
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Um,
And in my research, kind of like what you said a little while ago, that the big selling points, I was going through Best Buy and looking for refurbished machines, and the big like selling points for these were all based around streaming and sort of like web
oh
browsing.
yeah,
And that's what the majority of people
right.
getting those products are gonna do. That's all they're gonna do. And don't even go down the rabbit hole of what the vast majority of the American population has a very narrow like search history collectively, right?
Yeah,
We have all the information of the world at our fingertips. We don't use it. We don't
yeah.
we don't
No, we
come
don't.
close to it at
Yeah,
all. But that, as far as the product, that's fine. And I was comparing uh iPad Airs to iPad Pros, and for what I want to do, an iPad Air is just fine. Sixth, seventh generation.
yeah,
You got a great price point, and it's a tool that I want to use when I'm not here, right?
yeah,
So I want something transportable, and I
yeah,
can, like I say, we put on a movie, I can sit down and do all that stuff without having to have all these convoluted cables I mean, seriously, the Wacom one, I'm happy with it. I could recommend it for a very entry level display tablet situation, but it's all based on what your platform you're plugging all these cords into. And
yeah,
that's just something that I want to step away from. So,
yeah. Oh no, I mean, yeah, no, I totally get it. I totally get it. I mean, that's what got me into um kind of digital art to begin with.
mhm,
Because well, it wasn't my first. My first one was I think I've talked about it before, but it was an Intuos Pro 3. Um, so I was clearly, attached to a computer at that point.
mhm,
But then I went back to traditional art. What really got me back into digital was drawing with a Surface Pro 2, because the Surface Pro 2 was I mean, it was a full computer at
mhm.
tablet at that point. That was kind of one of the first ones that came out that
Yeah.
was like, hey, this is a whole PC and a little tablet. But what was so awesome about it was it used Wacom Tech for the pen.
Mm.
And Windows and Surface they do their own thing, and a lot of people it's kind of gone downhill as far as that went,
Yeah.
from what I understand. But that Surface Pro 2 was great. And so I did a ton of comics. And that's also what got me into Clip Studio, because I put Clip Studio on the Surface Pro 2. Uh, but it was this whole idea of being able to create anywhere,
Mhm.
and that's what I've always been striving for. I mean, and I pretty much have it now, between the iPad and the Cintiq and everything,
Right.
and yeah, I'm always working on comics now. I feel like I'm literally always working on it. So
Nice.
hey, we can talk about this. So like some update. I'm
Yeah.
currently into week 3 of my experiment this year of trying to get a story out every single week. So I'm 2 weeks down. So entering the third week of January, I've done 20 pages so far. Uh, for this month. Story I'm working on is an 8-page story. So hopefully by the end of this week, I'll have 28 pages in a month. I think just that will be the most pages I've ever done in a month, I think. Um,
It's pretty damn
so
impressive.
definitely if I keep it going through the end of this month, no matter what, it will be the most productive comic book month I've ever had.
Hell yeah.
Um,
That's a hell of a way to start the new year as well.
yeah,
You know.
but I can, when I talk about really like working on it all the time, obviously I have a 40-hour a week day job and stuff like that, but
The
I
grind.
have what's nice about that day job for me, the specific one is I have a lot of alone time and it's a lot of just I can kind of space out. And that's my writing time. That's when I let the ideas kind of try and circulate
Yeah.
um for the next week. Because that's a thing that's becoming the most challenge, which I knew it would be the most challenging part of this experiment. It's not the drawing and getting it done. It's the I have to have an idea almost ready to go as soon
Mhm.
as I finish one story. I can't, you know, I think the last 2 weeks that I've done this, I've had like a Thursday night kind of celebration of, I'm done and I'm gonna take the rest of this night off and I'm just gonna watch TV, and that's it. And then Friday morning when I get up, it's like, okay, fuck, I gotta write a story. Um, and I have a few that I've kind of written, but like they're kind of like, okay, I'm doing if I've got absolutely nothing, then I'll do these, but I want to keep the juices flowing for the writing, if that makes
Oh,
sense.
yeah, definitely.
And so, um, you know, it really it's like I have to have that story done within a day and a half, so that by today's Sunday,
Hmm.
I'm I'm penciling, you know,
Yeah.
and I mean the last two stories I've penciled in 2 days or a day.
Nice.
And then that'll give me like 3 days to ink. Uh but it's gotten me in this now going into week three. I mean, God knows how I'm gonna feel on week 40. Week 40, I might be like, fuck this. I don't know. It might be, I mean, I don't know. It might be week 8 where I'm like, you know what? I tried, I'm done. But right now it's like it's become such an ingrained habit that I'm just like, man, I'm just fucking just going.
Yeah. Yeah. And it also feeds itself when you see that production
Yeah.
and you look back and you see, oh, I got 3 weeks worth of story done. And it just kind of helps fuel the moving forward, right?
Yeah. Well, and so what else has been helping fuel me forward is one, I've been getting the best engagement so far on Reddit.
Yeah. Talk about that.
Um and so I mean for the last few months I've been posting on Reddit. That's really where the whole like I'm gonna release a story all at once uh inspiration kind of came from, where I was seeing results from releasing like large chunks of story or the entire story all at once. Um, and even when it wasn't as big as I wanted it to be, like, viewership wise or upvotes, the response has always been like, I mean, 99.5% positive. And I've been getting engagement. I've had people coming back. I've had people following me on other social media sites. I've had them following me more on Reddit. Uh, so this last one I released, as of right now, it's at with my I post on the comic subreddit and I post on the webcomic subreddit. And then I also post on my own profile. Because that's kind of the ultimate goal, is to get my own profile going up. Uh
Yeah.
I've gotten over 900,000 views altogether,
Say it
and
one more time. Say it one more time.
900,000 views. I really wanted to hit a million, man. I really wanted to hit a million. I mean, this goes back to our like, is it ever enough?
Hmm.
Um, and I talked about it, a few weeks ago. I had one hit, like 500,000. And so now this is my new dragon to chase. This is going to be the new, okay, well now I've hit 900,000, but the response has been I can been nothing. Well, I've had I literally, in the over 100 comments I've had over the past 2 days, I've had three somewhat negative critiques. And other than that, it's been absolutely positive. And of those negative ones, I can honestly say I absolutely either didn't agree or could just totally ignore them, you know. Um,
Unsatisfactory ending.
yeah, no, well, one was someone telling me um how they thought it should have ended.
No.
Um, which was literally just a dick and fart joke. And I was like, yeah, that's not what I do. Um, which is funny, I think about this sometimes. Like if people that know me in person and like even on this show, I curse like a fucking sailor. I actually have a really blue sense of humor. I'm like a 12-year-old boy. Uh, but when it comes to my work, I really strive for an all ages kind of feel because I want it to appeal to a lot of people. And that's not a business move or anything. That's like a me move. I enjoy content that can make you laugh, whether you're 5 years old or you're 80 years old.
Hmm.
And I think it's more challenging to make work like that. I actually
Right.
think it's a lot easier to make super ultra violent or super crass work, even though I appreciate that. I do. That's most of what I consume would be like R-rated material. Um, but for me, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to make this sort of all ages stuff. So it was funny. He was like, "Oh, the character should have pissed himself in the end or whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's not what I didn't even respond." But I'm like, "Yeah, that's not what
Like,
I
how
do.
do you draw
That's never
that?
gonna happen." Um, and my stuff does it. It skirts. It's probably more of like a PG-13, maybe. Sort of. I don't go out to be like a censorship police, but there is a line where I'm like, you're not going to hear a curse word in my comics. There's not going to be, ultra violence. There'll be some violence, but it's not going to be like it's going to be fun. Um,
Right. Right.
it, and honestly, so it's that fun. This is what it's got me so excited about the engagement is I've gotten response after response of people going, I love it when your comics show up in my posts because they're just fun. This is what I need from a comic to
Nice.
escape and just have a good time. And that's always been my goal with comics
Hmm.
is to provide a story that's just fun because that's what I like consuming. I like consuming fun stuff. Um, and so it's been keeping me going is this response um on Reddit. And what's nice is some of that response. So I gained a Patreon uh subscriber this week. That was all from
Oh,
Reddit, you know.
that is what's up,
Um,
of course.
right. I've had people asking where they can get more of my work. It's so um it's been rewarding and it's keeping me going. Uh, unlike sometimes where you feel like you're just screaming into the void.
Right.
Um, and that's the thing. It's I get in this response on Reddit, but I go to Instagram, which is my technically like highest audience, technically, as
Hmm.
far as like followers and stuff like that. And it did okay, but not anything super special,
Hmm.
you know. So it
Interesting.
just kind of depends from place to place.
Right. And I don't mess around with Reddit uh too much, and maybe I should. Maybe that's a place where, I could probably explore more
Yeah.
and see what's going on out there, not just to put my own stuff up, but also see your stuff and the other cartoonists and comics that are available through those different channels.
I mean, it's what I can say about Reddit is it seems like it's one of the last remaining more non-algorithm heavy sites
Yeah.
that's it's still there. You can still kind of get lost in the shuffle. Um, but for the most part, because it works on this upvote, downvote sort of basis,
Mm,
it's a little more democratic as far as like trying to get to the top of these subreddits and stuff like that.
right.
Um, so and I'll be honest with only posting like once a week, I'm I'm researching like when's the best time to post on Reddit, when's the best time to post on Instagram, when's the best time to post on Threads and Twitter and all these other webtoons. I've been posting on webtoons. Uh
Yeah.
because I'm like, okay, I really need this one to count because I'm only, I've been posting some time lapse videos and stuff like that, but I want I want people to come for the comic. The time
Yeah.
lapse videos and stuff, they're just kind of fun. Here you go. This is how I do it. But I want people to read my comic.
Yeah, 100%. That's the focus. That's
Yeah.
the end state. End of the
Yeah.
day. You know.
Right. So what'd you do this week?
Ugh. I took a I took a nap. No, no. I've got to do one final run through of proofreading, but big issue number one, it should be print ready by the end of the weekend is the goal. Just going through and make sure everything's all straight, fix whatever little fixes need to be done, taking one last look at dialogue, and get that ball rolling.
Awesome.
And speaking of rolling on, I've got 7 pages of issue 2 scripted out, so I can start drawing anytime,
Yeah.
which will once again happen again before the end of this weekend. Thumbnailing out those pages, and I've refined my writing process
Oh yeah.
where I used to write as if I was going to hand the script off to somebody else to
Yeah.
draw, and not the Marvel method. I mean, almost like a shot by shot, screenplay for a movie.
Yeah.
And I just did that because that's how I was taught, and I just wanted to maintain sort of that flow. But going through, I found some ways to get that refined, and I'm just giving myself notes. Page 3, in about 3 to 5 panels. This should happen. These people should talk about this, and here might be some things they might say if I think about specific dialogue in that time. But it makes it faster, and I think that's kind of better to get me in and out of a particular page quicker. The story beats are all done for the entire series. Just getting those to work off of, so I can start penciling, because I want issue number 2 to follow pretty close to issue number 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
don't
think
want.
that's really I think that's awesome. And I mean, I've never uh like when you tell me that you write that way. And then, to be honest, the vast majority of people, I think, like cartoonists, do write that way. They write in a script, and like even if they're drawing it themselves, they script it all out and stuff like that. Um like I remember I read an interview with Brian Lee O'Malley, who he creator of Scott Pilgrim, and that's how he wrote all of Scott Pilgrim. And I was just like, how? Like it's and I know people look at my method and they think the same thing, like, how do you do that? Um, but I think it's great that you're still experimenting
Mhm.
and evolving the way that you do it. Um,
Well, sure. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out where it all works best.
yeah,
And I started out with the idea that I was going to work strictly traditionally. I knew that I would have to do digital cleanup and lettering in that sense. I Once I can get my workflow at a pace that I'm more comfortable with, I'll look at experimenting with doing my own lettering.
yeah,
And that still will probably be digital,
yeah,
because I mean, you've got to be arrogant enough to go, oh, I'm going to write and draw my own comic book and you're going to like it, you know.
yeah,
But to say, oh, I'm going to write it, I'm going to draw it, I'm going to ink it, I'm going to do the color tones. And guess what? Tom Orzakowski, I'm going to letter it too.
yeah,
It's like, look, shithead, Pick
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So
I
I
love,
it's an undertaking. What I'm saying, it's an
yeah.
undertaking, and
Oh
you've
yeah.
got to have some kind of confidence in your shit or passion behind it to go, I'm going to do all the jobs, you know, you know,
Yeah.
and get my comic out. But
You know what?
essentially, that's
You
what
know
you're
what
saying.
the thing is too, like that confidence. Um, you're I'm trying to think how to word this. When I did this last story this past week, and this isn't just last week. This is
Yeah.
literally every story I do, okay? When I finish writing a story, I want to be excited about it, and I
Mhm.
am, but there's still, there's something in the back of my head sometimes where I go, I don't know. Is this good? I don't know. And I'm like, well, I guess it'll work. And I'll put it out there, and inevitably I still get people like, it's funny because I guess it's hard because I'm the writer, and I like to have little twists and turns in my comics and stuff like that. And that's a big part of what makes writing fun for me. Um and so I guess I've done it so much that there's a lot of times where I go, man, this one's kind of fucking obvious, isn't it? And inevitably when I put it out there, I get like this last week, I get a bunch of comments going, wow, that went somewhere I had no idea it was going to go. And people are like, and I'm like, wow, really? All right, well, and I guess my point is like, just do it, just like we say, just do the damn
Do
thing.
the damn thing. You're
Yeah,
always your worst critic.
yeah,
Just get it out, get it on paper, and then
yeah,
and I've gotta give Herc props. Our friend here in Charlotte, Herc,
yeah,
um, you know, brilliant cartoonist,
yep,
brilliant artist. And I was just starting to do my first pages and showing them to him. He's like, excited for me to be doing it. And he goes, and I told him, I don't like that one. I feel like I want to redo it because the more I do it, the better I get, right?
yeah,
And now I look at those older pages. I don't want to. I don't like that. I want to redo it. And he says, I get it, but don't, because you'll redo that. And then next thing you know, you want to redo the next one. It's a constant cycle of
yeah,
self editing or trying to chase a standard that you're already at. If you think that you can do it better, just keep going that direction,
right.
doing it better. You
The
know what
best, I just came up with this, Levi.
I mean? Okay.
The best way to move forward is not to move backwards.
What?
Whoa.
Mind blown.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
I mean, and that's the thing, when you're constantly going back and you're re-editing, you're moving backwards. You're not moving forwards. So yeah, just keep going, I mean, it's like how you talk about your tones and you want it. I was just listening to our episode we're going to release this week, and you're wanting to have this whole vision for it, and
mhm.
I totally get it, and I always do too for my work. But at the same time, you can't let that paralyze you. You just gotta,
Yeah,
you know what? If the first issue there's a slight difference in the tones versus issue two, well, you know what? That's how it
that's
is.
how it was. And
And and
growing up,
and
how
I'm
many
hard on
times?
myself too when that happens.
Yeah, and how many times like growing up did we like go to the comic shop because the latest issue of whatever's going, and I want to see what Eric Larson or McFarlane or John Byrne do, and you get that issue and you open it up and it's not them because it's a fill-in issue this time, and you're like, okay, well it's still X-Men, I still like it, uh,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
so it's not going to be the best every single freaking time, but as long as you're working towards that, then
yep,
you're doing the right thing,
right.
I guess.
And with that, I think we need to go. So
All right. So do the right
just do
thing.
the just do the damn thing.
Do the damn thing. Late.